Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the M Word. My name's Robin. I'm the technical director here at Man and Machine in the UK. And as always, it's a pleasure to have you with us for this short session this afternoon. If you haven't already, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us some comments, and most importantly, let us know what content you want to see during these sessions. We run them most Thursdays on one of the pieces of software that we sell, service, and support here at Man and Machine, whether that's AutoCAD, whether it's Revit, whether it's Inventor, Bolt, the Construction Cloud, you name it. If it's got an Autodesk badge, we offer services on it. So let us know what you want to see, and please give us a like. And also don't forget to check out our other videos, because there is a whole range of different content on there at different lengths, how-tos, self-guided tutorials, and things like that. So please check it out and let us know what you want to see more of. This session today is going to be about Autodesk Inventor, and very specifically about one of the design accelerators that sit inside of Inventor called Frame Generator. Now, Frame Generator is a really, really good tool at boosting productivity if you need to, believe it or not, design frames. The clue's kind of in the name. So what Frame Generator will do is generate a frame along either existing geometry or sketch geometry. It's very, very fast to start putting together some standard box section or standard extrusion sizes driven along a sketch or an existing component that you have. So it's very quick and it works really, really well. And what I want to do in this short video today is just talk you through the process, explain how some of the tools work, how you can leverage the tools inside of Inventor, and hopefully show you something that you will find useful. So without further ado, I will stop waffling and I will shrink myself down into the corner and I will share my screen. And apparently clicking the button to shrink myself down and share my screen doesn't work anymore, which is really odd because it worked a second ago when I tried it before we went live. Note to self, throw the button box in the bin and buy a new one. So I'm using Inventor 25. Functionality that you're about to see really is unchanged for many years inside of Inventor. So it doesn't matter what version you're on, this walkthrough will work just fine. Yes, there are some new features that are existing only in more modern versions of Inventor. So if you're on a really old version like 19 or 20, you might miss some of the filters or some things might be subtly different. But generally speaking, the function as a whole remains. So you have to be in an assembly to use Frame Generator. And what we generally need to do to start the workflow is have a skeletal or reference component that we want to use to place frame geometry on. There are two options. You can use a skeletal part, which I'm going to use today because it's quick, it's easy, and it makes the process a lot quicker for the purpose of demonstrating. If you're making very rectangular or box-shaped frames, it is ideal. But you can also use a mixture of both 2D and 3D sketches to do exactly the same thing. So it's fully flexible to align to whatever workflow that it is that you want to use inside of Inventor. So all I'm going to do inside of my completely blank IAM is I'm going to create a new file from scratch, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a part. I'm going to call that my skeletal part. I'm going to press OK. I'm going to place that down into my assembly, and it sends me straight into the editing environment. And then what I'm going to do here is basically just build a box that we can use to reference. So let's start a sketch. Let's model around the origin. So we're going to start on the top facing plane here. I'm going to create this as a 2-point center rectangle so that I'm modeling around that origin point. And let's say for the purpose of this that I want a frame that is, I don't know, about 1200 long by about 800 in depth. So I'm going to define the size of my frame, or in this case, the size of my skeletal box. From there, I'm going to finish the sketch and I'm going to extrude it up. So I'm physically creating a 3D shape, but only for the purpose of using the geometry for reference. Why, I hear you ask? Why is it that you're doing that? Let's just make this about 1200 high. Well, simply put, let's imagine that I want 4 legs and a top for my frame. By creating this very simple box, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 vertical edges that I can use for my legs. And I also have a correctly sized rectangle at the top that will suit the base of my frame, or the top of my frame, where my component's going to sit. But it also makes it really easy to continue to build. So, for example, if I wanted to have a little bit more support on the front, maybe there's going to be more weight loaded to the front of this particular frame, I could create additional sketch geometry on that face very quickly, projecting the geometry that's there, and then simply placing additional lines, which again can be constrained or dimensioned as you see fit. So in this case, I want to go halfway along by, typically I've done it half and half. Let's just do an undo. Did not mean to be that accurate. I want it halfway, but I want it less than halfway. There we go. So I'll put my driven geometry there just for reference. And then let's have this constraint over here on the right-hand side and say that that's about 350. So I can use the fact that I've got a physical thing here that I can see and touch to place multiple sketches very easily. Again, if you would rather work with several 2D sketches or a single 3D sketch, feel free. The workflow is flexible and you can work in any way that you want to. I just like working in this kind of way. It's quick. From there, what I'm going to do is, I don't want this sketch geometry visible, so I'm just going to split this face. So I'm going to say split. I'm going to say that I want to split using this tool, and I'm splitting this face, just so I've got that edge to work from. Again, you don't have to do that. It's just the workflow that I'm following for the purpose of today. The final thing I'm going to do is just change the material of this component. I want it to be a little bit more transparent. So I'm just going to set this as glass or something like that, just so it's a bit more transparent in the model. From there, I'm going to return to my top level assembly, and I'm just going to put a quick save on. I'm just going to save this away. This will do frame 1, and just save that away into my machine. And then from there, I'm going to go across to my design tab. So from your assembly environment, first create your skeletal part or skeletal sketches. And then you want to go to design, and you want to go to insert frames. We've got this whole option here. The first thing we need to do is choose to insert a frame. I need to tell Inventor that I want to place a frame into this assembly. And then from there, we get this properties dialog box up. Like any dialog box in Inventor, we can, what's the word? Not snap. I can dock, there we go. I can dock this dialog box wherever you want to dock it around your screen. I'll just dock it on the left-hand side here. And it's not dissimilar to other dialogs inside of Inventor. We have the ability to use presets. I'm not showing that off today, but if you're using the same types of frame over and over again, we can store as many presets as you need to so that you can very quickly drive on that standard and use that preset over and over again. For the purpose of this, we're just going to do everything from scratch. So the first thing we want to do is choose our placement, and we're literally selecting geometry. You can filter and you can multi-select. So I can come in and I can put a window around everything to select everything in my model. I can start filtering to say that I don't want to have construction geometry, I don't want to have mirror lines. So dependent on whether you're 2D sketch, skeletal part, 3D sketch, you can really start using some of those benefits and filtering down what it is that you've got selected. In this case, I just want to go ahead and have the frame the same size, so the same members across the entire design. So I am going to window select, but I'm only going to window select everything from that point upwards. And you can see here that we now have a preview of what our components will look like. And you're starting to get some visual feedback instantly on your screen. Now, I can see that actually the window selection is not going to work so well for me, mainly because of where I've split this face. It's using different 0 points for those different frames. So I'm actually going to select things one at a time. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and change my frame member to something more appropriate. I've got categories, so I want to work with some square bars. So let's go ahead and choose square and rectangular bars. I'm going to knock this down to use ISO standard. And from here, I can go and choose a family. So I want to use these hot rolled steel bars. I can then specify a size, let's say 25 by 25, maybe a little bit bigger. I'll make it bigger for the purpose of the demo. Not quite 80 by 80 though, let's go 50 by 50. And that gives me the kind of size that I'm after. At any point you can change. So if you decide that you want rectangular tubes or box section, we can go ahead and change that. And again, go through and start controlling and changing what size profile we want to use. This is all driven through Content Center. So the Content Center that you have within Inventor will drive the families and the sizes of tubes and frames that are available to you. If you have custom sizes published to the Content Center, you'll be able to specify and select those Try that again. You'll be able to select those published sizes within inside your design. You just need to author those components as a frame member. So from here, let's just deselect our edges and start to be a bit more specific. So when you come in to select lines individually, you'll notice you get a really nice preview. This is more modern, let's say, in Inventor, so some of the older users out there might not get this. But as you hover over an edge, you'll get a visible preview about what's going to happen with that design. And by selecting that edge, again, you kind of get a sense as to what's going on. Once you've selected the edge, we can come in and choose where I want that particular frame member to be situated on my skeletal design. Let's imagine that I've chosen extremities for that part. So I'm going to choose the up left quadrant of my box section to be able to go and do that. You could rotate this round should you want to. And again, you've got full control to use this however you see fit. So I'm going to use that exact design. And from there, I can go ahead and continue selecting componentry around my model to suit that particular placement. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to go ahead and select all of those components just there. At that point, I can press OK. And my first frame members will be added into my model. What it's actually gone and done, again, because of where I've split the component here, let's just turn off the visibility of that other part. I've got two frame members here next to each other. So I'm actually going to remove one of those and I will just extend one of them to be longer because I don't want two frame members there, I only want one. So I'm going to right click and show you that we can delete with Frame Generator to tell the frame intelligently that I have deleted that reference. So we have a couple of FrameGen specific functions that you have to bear in mind, like right click, delete with FrameGen, edit with FrameGen, so on and so forth. So we've got our first frame members. With this particular component over here, I'm going to eventually extend this out so it comes back to this side of the design, but not just yet. What I'm going to do first of all is come back into the frame and add the additional pieces of component. So let's turn my skeletal part back on. And then with our frame, we can come back into the frame and we can insert additional components into the frame generator piece. So let's insert frame once more. And this time let's select one of these vertical edges. And again, we can zoom in and we can completely control how this component is going to be placed around my model. I'm going to go with the same default placement as I've had so far. And I want to go around and just verify that that placement is going to work for every edge. And it probably won't for these two because they're at a different orientation. So I can select the ones that I want, deselect with Control held down the ones that I don't want, and this time press the green plus to place this frame and then be able to continue placing additional frames. From there, I can continue to place and press the green plus, that's a mouthful, place and press the green plus. I bet you can't say that 10 times fast. Showing my Harry Potter knowledge there. So I can continue to press the green plus to basically apply, place and apply, And I can continue to do that to place those components around my model. Once I've done all of those, I'm going to press OK to place the final one, and I'm going to hide the skeletal part once more. I then have the basis of my frame, and that frame can then be edited using my frame generator editing tools at the top of the screen. First thing I want to do is extend one of my frames. I want to extend my frame, and first I'm selecting the frame that I am extending to, or the tool that I am extending to. So let's use the bottom face of a full length frame member, and then extend my frame to that same point. Pressing OK, that will take that shortened frame and make it longer. From there, I want to trim the top of the frame down so it sits underneath the top of my frame. So again, I can go ahead and choose trim and extend. I can select my, my face that I'm trimming to, and then I can select the frame member that I'm trimming down, this time pressing the plus, because I've got 4 of them that I want to do. That allows me to go and do that trim in very quick succession, selecting first the face that I want to trim to or extend to, and then selecting the frame member that I would like to trim. Again, very quick and very easy. From that point, I wouldn't really miter this in reality, but I'm going to. So choose miter, then select frame 1, followed by frame 2. We can specify a gap for your welding, you can specify a type, and then you can press OK. That will miter those 2 frame members together. If I undo that and do the same thing again, miter this one to that one, this time I'd like you to leave a 2mm gap. Press OK. That will miter them with a 2mm gap. Again, completely up to you. I'm going to leave the gap there for the purpose of this, and that looks absolutely fine. Let's miter the other ones. Left to right, press the green plus to save and continue. What I can't do what I can do as well is I can also choose to kind of extend and miter at the same time. So by choosing miter with this shortened frame member, it will come and place that miter in. And within a very short space of time, I've generated my first frame. It's not complete yet because I want to add this final bit of structure on the right-hand side. So again, I can bring the visibility of my skeletal part back on. I can choose to insert another frame, choosing this particular component. This time I want to use a middle alignment to have the component like that. And I can press OK. This time I'm going to suppress my skeletal part. I don't need it. I don't want it turning on or affecting the BOM in any way, shape or form. So let's just turn it off. And from there, I can continue to start adding the information in to be able to control the shape and size of these components. So from here, maybe let's use a different one we haven't shown you yet. Let's use notch. We can first select the frame member that I am notching, and then the tool that I am using to carry out the notch. Make sure you select them individually, like so, and then press OK. And that notch will be carried out. But what you'll notice is the notch will be done, it's kind of done the process twice. So you do need to be careful with the functionality as you use it and make sure that you're not doing what I did there and making a pig's ear of it. So you can also choose to trim and extend the underside using this frame to do exactly the same thing. Okay, so again, just be careful with what you're doing and just check the results. If your frame's going through another member, things like notch won't work so well. You want to make sure you trim them back first. But in this case, trimming at an angle is absolutely fine and works perfectly as well. And there we have our initial design, looking pretty good. We've also got some other functionality. So we've got the ability to come in and we can insert end caps. We can go and select any one of the ends and basically insert those caps. Let's go and select my 4 feet to insert my caps. The size is going to be the profile, and then maybe I'm going to add 5 mil, and then I'm going to press OK. That'll go ahead and add those caps in there like so. And really, it is as easy as that to start making the most of Frame Generator inside of Inventor. The last thing I will show you is if you need to make a more specific change, like changing the size, we can do that either using the, where's the button gone? The change frame member here, or you can highlight the component using part priority, right click it, and then we can say that we want to edit using Frame Generator. From there, we can come in and choose a different size. Like, for example, this one, we want it to drop down to be a 40 by 40. I also want to rotate it round so it's at 0 degrees and not at the 90 degrees that it was at before. I also want it to be stuck around like that so that it lines up nicely with the front of my component. Press OK, say yes to update, and there is our component now changed. Drawing frames using Frame Generator is extremely easy. The components are modeled as parts, and because they are modeled as parts, your bill of materials will start updating to show us that we have our frame components in there. It will also show us quantities in lengths so that you can get cut lengths for the shop floor, which you can then sum together on your parts list to identify how much steel do we need to order in, how many lengths, and then how much do I need to cut and what cut lengths do I need within inside or on my shop floor. So it really is aligning really, really well. And it's quick. It works quickly and it really produces the kind of outputs that you require. Add to that you have also got the ability to do very quick frame analysis using that frame to look for buckling and things like that. It's a really, really neat tool. Some of these design accelerators inside of Inventor, they're underused. The functionality is there. If you're using frames or designing frames or need to place a frame on your component, then perhaps next time you do so, you could check out Frame Generator and see what it can offer. And really, that's kind of all I wanted to show for today. So I'll leave it there and say thank you ever so much for watching. We are not on next week because I'm out of the country, but join us the week after where we're going to be looking at a construction-based workflow. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's something to do with Revit and changing your view templates to make the use out of space data in your rooms and shading them based on that. But I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But thank you ever so much for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and until next time, take care. Happy CADing. See you soon. Bye-bye.